Hello, my name is Alfredo. Welcome to my piano spacetime. This is the main video of my performance of François Couperin's Les Barricades Mystérieuses. You can find my performance at the link that I'll post in the description under this video. This video might be of your interest if you intend to study this work at the piano, as I will share a few ideas about what I discovered, I learned while studying this piece. Before entering in the details of the music score, let's spend a couple of words in terms of general architecture. We are in front of a rondeau form, and the main theme of the work is repeated in total 5 times along the entire piece. This makes studying this work particularly economical, considering that more than half of the entire work is basically reusing, as it appears at the very first line, the rondeau theme. There are in total 3 episodes that alternate with the theme expositions, and the first 2 ones are relatively short. The last one, the third, is the more extended one and can be read as composed in 2 parties. We will see this more in details later. So let's go now to the music and let's play a few lines of it. What we have heard is the exposition of the rondeau theme. Perhaps you noticed that it's been repeated, so we have played it 2 times in this first page of our work. Our first thought goes to the tempo. There is an indication by Couperin that is vivement. I went to see on the dictionary the exact translation of vivement, and I found a first meaning that is quick, but then going down in the dictionary I found 2 other possible translations that are profoundly and deeply. To me, this music is actually matching much more this second translation of vivement, and I found also many other interpreters that do not choose to play this piece particularly quickly, but instead read through the harmony with this sense of depth and intense feelings. Another tip I would share: I feel that you might see this work like an improvisation, and so starting a little bit like you are thinking what you want to do, but you didn't have entirely all your ideas in mind, so a little slowly, and then catch up with the actual speed that the rest of the work will be performed at. Another comments regarding the music score. We are in front of a polyphonic 4-voice harmonic writing. In general, each voice contributes to the expressiveness of the music, but there are here and there some moments where 2 or 3 voices are actually carrying most of the meaning of the expressiveness of the music in that particular moment. At the piano, we have the opportunity of playing with our touch, with the sound intensity, so that we might highlight those voices where the expression and the intensity of the musical content is higher, and leave a little bit in the background that other voice or a couple of voices that instead in that moment are mainly completing what is being expressed. Let's move on the details of the score in the main lines of this work. Well, we won't find particularly difficult moments. It's a work that might suit an intermediate beginner level. However, I think that proper care and attention has to be given to the duration of the notes as they are written, once again because this texture is harmonic and polyphonic at the same time, and so carrying the notes with the accurate duration is actually establishing, is expressing those beautiful harmonies that are flowing along the line. Let's separate the two hands in the first line. The thing I would say is that we should play with a finger legato to the possible extent, connecting the notes where that's reasonably possible. But we can cross several points where we cannot maintain a physical legato due to the polyphony. And so this shouldn't be a concern at the piano. In those points we shall take care about sounding the particular key with the proper energy, so that with respect to the note that came before, there is a sound continuity that is a first ingredient to establish a legato even in absence of a physical continuity between the two notes. Of course we have the pedal, and I believe that a reasonable use of the pedal is very helpful and actually very nice in this work. In this first line that I played, let's play it once again. There are a couple of other things I would say. We notice that the tenor starts with playing a couple of times the F and then develops a nice melodic line, and I think we have to go into it with our ears and with our body feelings, so that that line will remain important, will acquire importance when we build up the entire work. The bass in general is very important in this work. At times is actually the main line to be charged with expressiveness and sound energy. It gives the rhythm, the feeling of the sound. You have noticed that all the work stays in the middle bass range of the keyboard, and so the bass in particular is helping to create that very warm sound that is proper of this beautiful work. We have come across here in this very first line a moment where in the bass, to me it seems necessary to disconnect the keys, and again, shouldn't be a concern, we maintain our fluidity, elasticity, attention to the sound intensity, and a bit of pedal. Let's go and see in detail what I'm talking about. Here the tenor is drawing that nice melodic line. Until this point with my hand I could manage a physical legato. Then I start taking the bass with this D. I might go with the 4 here and then change with the 5 if you are comfortable with that. Actually, I'm not sure when I play at right tempo, I prefer rather to jump with my 5 directly, and if you study properly that particular movement, it shouldn't harm the overall legato expression of the moment. Here again, I think it's very uncomfortable to play the F in the bass with my 4, if I want to connect the bass line, I prefer to relax my hand and take the F with the 5. Let's play once a tempo. Let's take the right hand. I believe in the right hand the soprano and the contralto are equally important in this moment, so all voices here, I believe, are kind of carrying the same importance in the message. What I would say is that, once again, pay attention to the duration of the notes so that you are sure that you are building up those beautiful chords and you are leaving those chords at the right time. There is a little bit a tricky point right at the end of the first bar. Here, with the duration of the notes, we have created an F major chord with 3 parties, and when the second bar starts, everything stays there except that I have to leave this C taken by my middle finger, and this is, for this end, the first strong beat in the major that happens with a note release. Once again. One thing to keep in mind, always important when we play and study, but I think this applies very well in this work. Don't work simply with your fingers. Actually, the control of what is happening at the keyboard is generating from your shoulders down through the arms until the end. And in this case, I think those degree of freedom above the fingers are physically translated in the opportunity of a smooth and fluid rotation of your hand when you go to pick up those notes. I try to exaggerate a bit to make this evident. I think that listening to your body will guide you regarding where the physical freedom is taking your muscles, your bones, and through the work, part of the process study is to understand those movement patterns that are convenient and helpful to create a nice, smooth and free harmonic and melodic line. Let's play once again these 2 lines and then let's move on with the first episode. Okay, reaching the first episode gives the opportunity to state what to me is an important principle to play this work, that is to have a neat and clear separation between the phrases, and so really to close clearly the theme, the refrain, and then to start again a new thing and kind of making that evident. I like to think also like the refrain, the main theme in the work is the storyteller. And so it's his role to introduce the situation, and then he really stops talking, and then we go into the actual first episode of the story that he has introduced. And then again, once the episode is finished, I would suggest to make a very clear separation before starting again the main theme of the rondo. And this principle should be respected in all the alternation between the main theme and the episodes. In this first episode, in my opinion, we have three voices that are particularly interesting. Of course, the bass, that is always important in this work, then the tenor and the contralto. The tenor is playing this very expressive, simple line. And then it loses importance, but that it sounds very expressive at the beginning, so I recommend to highlight that. And the contralto is kind of echoing that with this line. Let's try to play them together. Let's play them with the bass. In the second half of this line, it sounds that the contralto is the expressive line to take that important role that the tenor has taken in the previous two bars. And I would try not to exceed in the energy with the soprano that is just playing several times an F, so it's truly a complementary line with the rest. The second line might be played changing the color a little bit with una quarta pedal, and we see echoing the same pattern with a difference, with a different key. Let's do it again. With all the voices. We see the second half of the first episode. Now I believe that the bass, the soprano and the contralto are the important voices in this moment. So when we study, we should educate our ears to listen to them and our body to help to maintain them in proper evidence. See the contralto separately. The soprano. Together. Piano we can play with some little crescendo and diminuendo to increase the expressiveness of this beautiful moment. see in reality what I said before about the opportunity of separating well the conclusion of the episode with the return of the refrain. Let's do it once again. The refrain will continue and we reach the second episode. The second episode, I believe, is using all voices to create an expressive progression in what it's doing. So let's study carefully each line in the polyphony. Very brief episode, we reached already its conclusion. Let's see the right hand. I suggest the fingering that you see in the score here on the top. You might try it out if it's also comfortable for you. However, here we have a good possibility of physical legato between keys, perhaps with a simple replacement of key fingers as noted. Let's try again with all the notes together. I believe that a certain degree of freedom with the tempo, again considering that possibility of considering the work an improvisation, but also to recover that possible meaning of vivement in sense of deeply and profoundly. So this freedom that means to follow the tempo that is highlighting the expressiveness of the line in that particular moment. Perhaps you see that this episode is starting with a descent in the bass, and then there is an attempt of going up. Well, we can play like taking speed while we descend, and then again reducing, and when we go up, something like that. And we reach the last episode that is, I believe, a sort of extended climax of this piece. It starts with a preparation to then a long descending progression that becomes progressively more and more intense. Very beautiful. In the preparation, let's see the voices that I think are more or less each one equally important in the texture. Let's play once with all voices to hear what we will be working on. Let's take the bass, the left hand actually, with bass and tenor. Try to make evident those points where I just need to disconnect the physical legato using the one to play different notes. Let's now try to focus on fluidity and consequentiality. A bit of pedal. We'll never overemphasize the importance of contributing, actually of driving with the arm what is going on right there at the key. So the director is actually in the upper part of your body, and the fingers just make a continuation and an integration of what you need to press the key using their grasping capability. So to smoothen your touch with the keys and at the same time achieving a nice round and deep sound. Let's see the right hand. Once again with a bit of pedal. And I would suggest also to play removing one or two lines as you feel more comfortable, so that you pay attention to the game of the remaining lines in the texture. Let's try to remove the contralto. So we notice clearly that tenor and soprano are playing together with the sixth intervals, and this has helped us to see that clearly, and then we should work out to maintain a nice singing line with those two voices when we play together the polyphony. Let's try again. Let's play the bass only with soprano and contralto instead. Once again. So we see that the contralto is kind of filling up the harmony, whereas bass, tenor, and soprano are the main lead singers in this line, in my opinion. Okay, as I was saying, the first part that we have just completed of the third episode is a preparation to a sort of extended climax that is in a beautiful way completing this rondo here. And so let's see the hands separately to start reading clearly what's going on in the writing. The bass that is singing a very nice line is definitely the important voice in this part of the episode. And let's play again just the first half of this descending progression. We'll try to maintain the tenor a little bit in the background. See the right hand. So we notice that melodically there is really just a little that that happens in the soprano, in the contralto, in the tenor as well. I'm not saying that those notes are not important in the general expression of the music that is contained, but clearly doesn't have the same leading role that instead the bass in this moment of the work is carrying. So let's play them together, and I will try to maintain the bass as it is, as the leading actor here. And then we see the second half of the episode. Again, the bass is leading, and now, before it was descending with a progression, now it's kind of trying a resurgence, although that eventually will not in a way reach the very top, but will remain in this joyful and serene and warm valley. Once again, we notice that soprano and contralto are doing really little in terms of melody. They are almost playing the same note all over again over what happens in the bass. The contralto is in a way more expressive than the soprano, as he's playing with this line. So while working on it, let's try to exploit the freedom of our movements to highlight where proper moment of intensity in one voice rather than in the other. Let's put together the note. Appears once again to finish this beautiful jewel of the Baroque repertoire. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and some of the thoughts that I presented might be of use for your work. Most of all, I wish you to enjoy your practice on this beautiful jewel, and I hope to see you again in my next post.